I'm told the mayor is rushing here from a previous engagement, so he was supposed to open. So here I am, your city councilman for the area, William Tinkler. Thank you all for coming out tonight. This is, of course, the second meeting that we have on this important city project. I don't know how many of y'all were here in August, but the mayor presented the project, sort of the conceptual designs that we had at that time. It's been several months now, and we've gone through the estimating, the fine details, and we're going to have the engineers and the design team coming up and presenting their portions of the projects and answering any questions that y'all have, from stormwater to traffic to landscaping, all those issues. So, but before we jump in, I kind of wanted to talk about the project a little bit. I mean, last time I pointed out, this is an infrastructure project for the area. I mean, I think people are pretty unanimous, and when there's any development over here in this part of town, we need to make sure that we have infrastructure first, putting city offices and the kind of infrastructure you get when you put in buildings like this is going to be extremely important for the neighborhood and for the community. And you'll see that when the engineers come up and talk and why, say, a project like this will actually help stormwater runoff. So, but this is going to be an important project for West Ashley. I mean, I already have business owners coming up to me from the area who were actually thinking about leaving, who are excited about this project. They know that it's going to bring city employees here during the day who are going to be eating lunch at restaurants. So this is going to help support the business community over here and support us, to have nice things here in West Ashley. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Miss Mary Ann Sutherland, who is with Kimley Horn. She is handling the site design and all the stormwater as part of this project. So,
thank you. So I'm Mary Ann Sutherland. I'm with Kimley Horn, and I am the project manager on the civil engineering side for this awesome project. I am a native of Charleston, but I also live right across the street. So this is a project that directly impacts me and my family and all the fun things I know everybody wants to talk about relative to stormwater and traffic control, which Kimley Horn, we are also providing the traffic consulting and the landscape architecture. So as you can see up here on the far right, we have a rendered landscape plan. And right now the plan is to build the first building, and then the second building will come maybe several years down the line, but for now that building pad will be green space. Stormwater, everyone's favorite topic. We, just like any other project in the city, will be held to the city's very strict stormwater regulations. So this project is going to put in underground detention to detain the stormwater on site and treat it. This is a project that's in a special protection area, so we have very strict regulations. It's also a redevelopment project, so it has even stricter regulations that we have to meet. So I can promise you that stormwater is going to be reduced and held on the site to beyond the pre-development flows. Additionally, I will let my partner Dylan Turner speak about traffic control, which I know is another favorite topic of everybody. So with that, Dylan is going to talk about traffic.
All right, thanks, Marianne. Dylan Turner, also with Kimley Horn, did the traffic impact study for this, coordinating with the city of Charleston and South Carolina DOT. So this project is unique. So we did it in two phases. So you'll see on the boards kind of two phases of the office buildings. So we looked at a 2028 and 2035 build out of the project. So first phase, less than 100 peak hour trips. So it's about, it's just right at like 95 in the morning and the afternoon, trips anticipated to these buildings. So we overlaid those trips on top of the network with background traffic, with including the Ashley Landing redevelopment traffic and their improvements, plus the improvements that Charleston County has planned out on Old Town Road in our study area here. Second phase, so the full buildings together, it's about 167 trips in the morning, and 166 in the afternoon, so about even there. So same thing, overlaid those trips on top of the road network with background growth, approved developments, and other known infrastructures improvement on the network, and did that traffic study. So be glad to answer questions after we present on our findings and everything, but with the county improvements plus the Ashley Landing improvements, no additional improvements were identified as needing mitigation here, except for a do not block intersection striping here near this site. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer those after we get done presenting here, and I'll hand it off to Andrew Todd Burke, also with Kimley Horn.
Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Andrew Todd Burke, and I am leading the landscape architectural design on this project. For this project, we really wanted to focus on using a native plant approach. This is beneficial for many reasons. One, the plants that are from here are easier to grow here, so they need less fertilizer, they need less irrigation to get established. Additionally, they are tailor-made to help our pollinators, right? The birds and the bees really thrive when you can use native plants. And so I think this is going to be an example of how you can use native plants in the design and still have it be absolutely gorgeous. So if you look at the plan all the way to the side there, you can see a couple things that I'll highlight. One is we tried to leave a lot of space and a lot of the existing trees around the edge of the property. We wanted to do this so that it didn't feel like all of a sudden a brand new thing popped in, because right now on the existing site there is a good buffer around the edge, so we wanted to maintain a lot of that. And then as an underplanting around those sides, we're using a mixture of native grasses and flowers. It's not going to be quite a meadow because it's not that big, but it'll kind of give that feel, and once again just really be beneficial to all those native pollinators. And then in the front of the site, we wanted to create a screen planting in the front that was going to, hide any sort of visibility of cars, but also complement the building behind it. As you can see, the building is looking very nice in these renderings. So that was really our approach there, to use the landscape to highlight the architecture of the building, and use it with native plants to show that you can make a really beautiful place just with the plants that are from here. Once again, I'll be around to answer any questions that anyone has. I'm going to give it up to Craig Clements with Sotil and Sotil. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. So our role here is we're sort of the city's design architects on this project, and so our role is to really ensure that this architecture is beautiful, that it is that this building has a civic character, and that it is made of the highest quality materials possible. So what we're doing is it's pretty much entirely brick with stone accents, so stone surrounds around the windows, stone at the main entrance portal, and large, generous, vertically proportioned glazing, a central formal entrance in the middle with the Charleston city seal in the gable, a strong cornice line at the top. So really just trying to give this a very, we've got Ashley River Landing across the street, which is a great mixed use, residential, commercial, restaurants, to introduce a civic use into this district that's emerging, and to really give it a municipal quality. And so that's kind of the goal of this building, is to really feel a building that makes you stand up a little straighter when you walk into it. So strong cornice line, brick and stone, generous glazing, and just a formality that speaks to its municipal character. So that's the approach to the exterior design. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Cogswell.
Thanks, Craig. Sorry, I am a little late. I would tell you it was traffic, but you all probably can appreciate that and wouldn't find it funny, right? But that is what happened. So again, sorry to be late. Thanks to the design team for getting things started. Also want to give a shout out to Charlestown Landing and allowing us to have the meeting here. Thanks, guys. Always a beautiful space. And thanks to you all for coming out. And so really the intent on this meeting is to give you an update on where things stand and then to hear from you. So I can stand up here and talk all night, but why don't I turn it over to you all so we can start answering any questions you might have. Does that work? Who's first? Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to suggest.
Maybe I can give you the microphone, just make sure everybody can hear.
I'm in West Pawnee. I wanted to suggest that just having that one entrance light there at Aero Foods, right there to go into Ingram, that you extend the Ingram Road down to Charlestown Landing and use that light as an additional entrance, ingress, egress.
So be able to tie in over to the light that comes into Charlestown Landing. I mean, is that something that is, okay, I'll turn it over to the.
Thanks, Mayor. So yeah, we did look at that, and so we talked with the South Carolina Department of Transportation, especially with the new light that Ashley Landing is going to be getting. There's a new light that's going to be serving into Ashley Landing. We wanted to tie in, I'll show you here on the board, a fourth leg into Ingram Road, but the spacing is really tight. So what you have at Donahue and Charlestown, they really won't allow that anymore. It's too tight of a radius, so we wouldn't be able to tie in there. So we are tying down into Donahue, Charlestown, and Old Town in that signal, but we won't have a new signalized access into it directly into the development or across from the Ashley Landing signal they have there.
Who else we got? Yes, ma'am.
So what city employees are going to move into this building? Where are they currently located? And is it going to save us any money from them moving from where they are to where they will be?
So over here we have a breakdown of all the departments that are moving in. And so you can come up and take a look at these. And currently, originally they were in 75 Calhoun Street, which was a building that we owned part of with the school district. So most of those people moved into 200 Meeting Street in the temporary office space. And this is going to be where their permanent home would be. So it's HR, it is, let me think about this. It is cultural affairs. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Anyway, we can get you the list, but we do, the one retail component of this that will have potentially people coming and going is there will be a satellite office for the permit center. Right now, all permits are downtown on George Street at the Gaillard, right? And so that's pretty inconvenient for a lot of people because 40% of the population lives in West Ashley, for example. So we wanted to have a location for West Ashley residents to be able to come to without having to go all the way downtown. So it would be a satellite office for the permit center. Other than that, it's pretty much all general office. And then we also are having a large meeting space, much like, not quite as big as what you see here, but that would be in there. Of course it will. Save you tons of money. No, I mean, the bottom line is we desperately need more office space from the city. I mean, we've grown a lot as a city. And with that, while we're getting economies of scale and our employee count is not going up exactly proportionally with the population, we do need more staff, though, because of how much Charleston has grown. So we need a place to put them, and we've been looking to figure out where to invest in a new office building. And so if you're asking a question, is it less expensive to build here than to build this building downtown, the answer is absolutely yes. But more to the point, we really wanted to make a significant investment in West Ashley. And so that's what we've done here. That's what we're also doing at Park Circle, West Ashley Circle, where we're building the fire training facility versus putting it downtown as well. Who else we got? Huh? No. There will not be a charge for parking. Yes. Yes. I'll come over to you. I got you. You're right here.
Hi. I actually have two questions. I can see a lot of the city employees and people in the neighborhood wanting to walk across the street to Ashley Town Landing. Is the pedestrian walkways going to be a lot safer than they are right now? And my second question, did I hear correctly that the light at Donahue and Old Town is going away, the traffic light?
No.
Okay.
The light is not going away, and the goal is, yes, to have safer pedestrian access across Old Town. I mean, you can't do any worse than what we got right now. But the idea, and one of the reasons why we put it there and bought this site was because of what was, I mean, the investment that's being made at Ashley Landing. All right, yeah, I got you over here. Yes, sir. Get my steps in here, going around.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you because I have not seen the building before now. So as a resident on Culpeper Circle, which is the street directly behind this, we appreciate that. My question is the parking on Ingram Road. It's a neighborhood, children, dogs, elderly, and that parking is a bad idea. I mean, it's just...
Fair enough. I think the idea that we had was, you know, to have, I mean, this is not going to be a heavily trafficked or certainly cars going fast here, but to give a street presence to the building. And so as a individual coming to visit Office of Cultural Affairs, for example, you can pull in and park right in front of the front door versus having to go around back. But look, I mean, again, I think if this is something that proves to be, in the neighborhood's mind, dangerous, I mean, it's not necessary for our employee count. This is more, you know, for convenience of people coming to the building. That's something that could easily be modified as we move forward.
I just know there are a lot of residents back there where I live that are not here tonight, that if they saw that, it's a bad idea.
Fair enough, fair enough. Who else we got? Yes, ma'am.
As a resident of the neighborhood, I recognize and say hello to many of you. I know that you brought the property, and this is exciting, I suppose, that it's coming here. But we've been Northbridge Terrace for a long, long time. I was president of the neighborhood association at one point, worked with the city, and it's like all of a sudden, boom. This massive building that's way bigger than anything we have, or any retail nearby, or any retail on Old Town Road, or any building on Old Town Road for that matter. And I hear a lot of considerations, but was any consideration given to all the people that live behind all this and how it impacts us? Second, more specifically, as we don't know what departments are here, can we have a clear answer about that? And a clear answer about how many people are coming to get permits and coming to cultural affairs and all these things that are very important to the city. But those are all going to come up and down Ingram Road where people with baby strollers and dogs and elderly have been walking for 50 plus years. So I think I probably speak for more than one person saying that. Sure. Thank you.
Well, again, we're trying to make sure we get public input on this. This is the second public meeting we've had related to this property, and again, the point is we want to hear from you, and Respect that, you think the building is too big. We tried to keep it at 3 stories, which I think is a reasonable height. And we may just have to agree to disagree there. I mean, there's going to be 5 stories across the street. The property,
There's nothing that big on this road. All the way. What about the Park Shore office building? That's fair enough.
yeah, that's,
Setback.
And when they wanted to build that, people were very upset about it, but we had a choice of either that or multifamily housing.
and that was the same case here. We bought this property in advance of an apartment developer, and it's zoned to where it could have apartments there. And so that was one of the reasons why we decided, we felt that it was, would be the preference to the neighborhood and the community to have a city office building and a city investment there versus an apartment project. Yes, and let me get the answer just because I'm a little embarrassed by this. The departments, Liz.
So we'll have the procurement division. The procurement division will be located in this facility. The grants department will be located here. The Office of Cultural Affairs, as the mayor mentioned. We will have part of the planning department. Some of those folks will be over here. This is a huge thing for a lot of our employees because they're coming in from this direction, and it's a real traffic win and a opportunity for that group. And then some folks from our recreation department will be here, and then we'll have the satellite permitting office here.
So not a lot of people, yes. I mean, it would have to be in that. I mean, again, but I think in terms of your general office building where you do have typically clients like at Park Shore, you have people going to visit that office, clients of the law firms or insurance firms or whatever else that might be there. Whereas here, generally speaking, we tried to be somewhat thoughtful about the fact that there are not a lot of people coming to visit the cultural affairs or our HR department, for example, right? We did want to have some component of it for rec and permit center so that it's a convenience for people that live West Ashley. That was a huge thing that we keep hearing from all over West Ashley, that they'd like to be able to have a city office where they could go to where they didn't have to go downtown. So that's what we're trying to deliver here. And so I don't think it's going to be a huge burden on traffic. It certainly won't be compared to an apartment project. Who else we got? Yes, ma'am. You can't go twice. I mean, I'll come back to you. Let me get a few other people.
I have a question about the traffic count. How does it take into consideration the stoplights and the backing up of cars? So maybe that many cars go over it, but how long are they sitting there? I guess how does that?
Let me turn that over to the engineer.
All right, so that's a great question. So what we do is we go get a traffic count while schools are in session. There's no holiday schedules or anything impacting, so everybody's on their typical commute. So we collect it Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, one of those days of the week. And then we take signal phasing data, signal timing data that we get, and we overlay those counts on the signals and see what happens from a level service. So level service A through F is what we look at, and those levels of service are defined by delays, but we also look at queuing. So we look at the backups at the traffic signal, so we have to look at it, before this development's on board and after, and how does that kind of tie together? Is there any improvements that we need to make from that standpoint of the backing up? And what we found out here with the other improvements that the county's doing right now or have planned out on Old Town Road, plus what's going with Ashley Landing, was that no additional improvements were required for the office building. So the office building, I wanted to clarify something I said earlier. It would have 2 access points, so the signal at Culpeper in Old Town, plus, you'll see it on this graphic really well, this right in, right out access here that is across the street from Sumar Street. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of exactly where that's located. And so we have those two access points. And this access point here to the north brings traffic away from the Culpeper intersection as well. So that's one of the things that we looked at. Donahue, I'm sorry, Culpeper is the other road nearby, but Donahue. So does that help answer your question? So we have to look at overlaying the volumes, and we look at the signal timings, how those signals work with each other, the queuing and all that. And we have to look at it, much like stormwater does, a pre and a post flow. We have to look at that from a traffic standpoint as well. All right?
Who's next?
I'm pretty loud.
Okay.
So I also have two questions. One is if you could keep him with the microphone. I have questions about that. The light, I understand that we don't need improvements to keep traffic flowing on Old Town. Those of us are also concerned about getting out of the neighborhood. So exactly how will that light at Donahue and Old Town manage the traffic, not just across us, but out of us? And if, I'll just get them both out. If the landscaper could also talk about the landscaping that's going to be between the building and the road. Right now, there's a scruffy, and this is scruffy, but there's a border, there's a buffer as you walk down the sidewalk between yourself and Old Town. I'm curious to know if that's going to be able to be maintained.
Yeah, so I'll answer the first question. So we are going to put up striping that if you're familiar with, if you go across Ashley Landing to Amberley and Sam Ritt, there is some, it's like a do not block intersection striping. So it's a box with an X in it so that it helps clear up where Ingram ties in to Donahue, because that's a very tight spacing there. And additionally with that is the county is doing some restriping and realignment improvements, specifically kind of moving Old Town up a little bit, because if you know that intersection very well, there's kind of a skew between Old Town and Donahue, and they're getting rid of that skew, which actually helps a lot of the operations there. So there'll be some restriping and in that.
Any kind of left turn lane though? Or
Yes, there's a left turn lane. Yeah, there'll be a left turn lane on Donahue. The way that it's striped now will be a lot clean. It will be cleaned up, and there will be a left turn lane and a through right on Donahue. What's that? We could absolutely look at retiming of the traffic signals. Specifically, a very specific point to that is when the Ashley Landing signal comes on, it has got to be timed along that corridor, and that would be an opportunity to look at the retiming there.
And then landscape?
Yes, sir.
So the existing scruffy buffer will mostly not be there anymore for a couple reasons. One is currently there is a ditch that it goes in there, and we are piping that ditch. Additionally, the county project, the improvements that we've been spoken of, has a sidewalk going to about half of the site. And so we wanted to extend that sidewalk all the way across to get to the crossing that was talked about earlier to get over to Ashley Landing. So we wanted to provide safe pedestrian access there. Now, what's being replaced is, as I mentioned before, it's going to be a good screening border, but it's not going to be 20 feet tall. We don't want people to feel like, something's looming over them, but it's going to be tall enough to block the visibility of cars in the front there. So you're looking at, 4 to 5 feet of nice thick vegetation, giving you all-season interest, but also preventing just a line of cars from being seen in the front there.
Visibility from whose perspective? From inside the building or outside the building? The road, if I'm driving down Old Town, am I seeing greenery?
Yes.
And if I'm walking down Ingram and I look out towards Old Town, am I seeing greenery?
Up to 5 feet.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And you had a question in the back? Okay.
So back to the traffic guy. You used Amberley as an example. Well, I live at Dickens, and just last week, you talk about that do not block. I'm sitting at the light, two separate occasions, car goes around me into oncoming traffic because they want to make that right onto Sam Rittenberg. So they go through Manor, go speeding, and then make that right. They don't care that they're not supposed to. So I'm just saying those really are dangerous. They're not great because people are just in too much of a hurry. They just are. I hate to see that you're making another one of those type of intersections on that side.
And there's no penalty for bad driving, as speeding and running red lights, unless we don't monitor. Well, I think enforcement is another subject which you will find me to be a big believer in enforcement of existing rules. So let me let you.
All right, thanks again. I feel like I might be a popular guy tonight. So yeah, the striping is a reminder to drivers. So not everybody complies, and I understand. I look at roads, I look at traffic all day. It's my job, and the things that I see people do on the roadways is why we have jobs to try to make things safer. So we could put in stuff. It comes down to implementation and people recognizing what the striping means. So we could have additional signage up to help with just the understanding of what that striping means. So that's some of the stuff that we could look at. And I do want to go back to like what the operations right now at Donahue will improve a lot with the Charleston County project, with their realignment that they're doing. So some of the queuing and backing up that you see there is really anticipated to improve with that project as well.
And if I may, I'll come to you. Just on that point, though, with all the improvements that are being made, the goal is to make things safer. No question about it, right? And there are idiots. And so we owe it to you with the investment that we're making, both in this office building and the investment that's being made across the street. These are new traffic patterns with the money that the county's putting in. So people are going to have to get used to it. So I'm happy to talk with our police chief, have him bring the traffic division out to talk with you all, and we'll talk fully about enforcement, making sure that they've got people in this area to watch these things, because if people are doing stupid things while we're trying to make things safer, then we need to tag them, and they need to get fined, and fined heavily, because again, the whole goal here is to make Old Town, and with the other work that the county is doing, Sam Rittenberg, safer than it currently is right now. And granted, that's a low bar, but we've got a long way to go. Yes, sir.
So last, I'll keep beating on this traffic thing. Last time we spoke, there was a discussion about cutting Ingram off, like at the end of the property, and having the other side done again. Is that not a feasible option? We'll go back to you on that.
Yeah. Can you explain that? Like, just so you all are aware, like we can come up with ideas, but when they affect a state road, it's DOT, and they have the ultimate say. We can push different ideas to them, but ultimately it's their say, and we generally speaking have to go along with it. So I just want to give
absolutely. So was the question, or you said the last meeting, it was mentioned of just having basically Ingram cut off at the end of the property line?
Right.
So
they would be separate, so just to our street for the
so that, there's pros and cons to that idea. And so what that would do from a pro side is no traffic volume going through the neighborhood. However, what you'll have out on Old Town Road is a bunch of people having to do U-turns and stuff, because the only access they would have, if it's one access, would be a right in, right out to this office building. And so then you would see kind of a lot of different change in traffic behavior on Old Town, which then would have downstream effects through all the signals. So, I personally wouldn't recommend that from that standpoint. And just having one access to office building, that might even be allowed per Charleston code. I actually don't know that answer. Mary Ann may, but a lot of times you have to have two accesses to serve buildings and stuff from a fire and safety response time. Yeah.
I heard what you just said, and I understand.
Yeah.
And I know this is not a popular idea with a lot of people. Is there any way there could be like a traffic circle to slow down the highway speeds there but yet keep things?
So if Josh Johnson from SCDOT was here, he would have loved that question because he wants to see a lot of roundabouts go. Due to the volume through here, that roundabout would back up a lot, and you would have a lot of queuing stuck within the roundabout because of conflicting movements. And so here, just with your volume demand, I don't think even a dual lane roundabout would work well through this area. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I will say too, to speak back to the Ashley Landing, having that additional signal doesn't allow for that higher speed. It's another stopping point. Will lead to queuing? Yeah, because you're stopping a point, but you're also kind of keeping that flow in a spaced out time frame. So that should help too with some of the speeding through here.
Okay. I'm going to get everybody on their first question, and then we'll come back for seconds.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, in future, if we could perhaps have a look at the traffic and the architecture in a much more than one single site perspective. So I think a lot of questions need to be looked at through that whole run of Old Town Road. I'm a little lost sometimes with all the names of the road not being set in my own memory, but where's this line up with that? How's it? Well, no, it's a bigger regional area, an area that shows you how traffic moves through there. Does that line up with this? Does this line up with that? How do the walkways work? I don't see where the bicycle traffic's working. I don't see any bus parking included in here. So it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, and all we're looking at is a building and a parking lot, which, is there. And I'm just saying, how does it fit?
Yeah, that's a good, fair point. And I think.
And also, what is that section on the bottom? Where is that taken? So it's an elevation showing the lower, okay.
If you get up to the plan,
Okay.
afterwards, you can see it's outlined.
So the cars and pedestrians on the left are actually going into the main entrance?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so the left here, so this is the car, you can have the right in, right out.
Right.
And this walkway is where that person is standing right there.
Okay.
And on the far side, you got this walkway right there.
Just another recommendation then, let's show section lines when there are sections.
It's an elevation.
No, okay, all right, well, in an elevation, show me where that elevation is taken.
It's right there on the plan.
I see, okay, thank you. But I would like to see a larger area so we can talk about this meaningfully.
Yeah, I think we can absolutely provide a zoom out. That's not a problem at all. And it's a great suggestion, just showing it how it all fits together. Yes, ma'am, coming in the back. If I could work one side of the room first. No. Right, that's right. I need them.
Since I only get one chance, I'm going to do two things.
Okay.
The traffic on Ingram Road. Would SCDOT consider putting like speed tables with crosswalks to slow down people?
On Ingram Road.
On Ingram Road, yeah. Because, people are going to be trying to get from that one entrance to the next entrance as fast as they can. And then that way you have more pedestrian crossings. And then the other is I am a large portion of property that backs up to this first building. And I was curious about could you put up some type of wall? I'm kind of worried about light pollution and just people staring into my backyard. I have children who like to just run amok in their pajamas, and people are going to be sitting in their cars, and I don't know, they have young children, and so a wall, I know you're going to have natural barriers, but trees, especially these local trees and grasses aren't going to cover much.
So fencing or a wall, I think that's certainly something that could be looked at on the back property line. Is that being contemplated right now?
Right now, all of these trees that you see are not being disturbed. So we're not planning to go in to disturb further to put a screen wall in.
She's talking about a wall.
They're just, no, they're just studying the size and species of the tree because we want to make sure we can leave as many large trees as possible.
How many feet of property are they going to leave untouched then?
It varies throughout, but there's going to be this 25-foot buffer. That will be where we do disturb, we go back and plant.
So we can look at your house and figure out exactly where it is. And figure out what the buffer is. If you want to come look at this. But there would be a buffer, and we're certainly open to figure out ways for privacy, to enhance privacy. We're not trying to put a spotlight on your backyard, and I think we've got lighting plan that will limit any sort of downlighting, so it's limiting the light pollution, right? And then we can talk about the specifics on the buffer on each property line and and give you a scale on that, so you'll have an understanding of what we're talking about.
So I'll answer the question about the speed tables. That is a possibility. So we have to do kind of additional study once the site's built because of the volume that we need, because it's a vacant property now. The church, the church is there, was there. So there's not a lot of volume going through here, but we could do a volume study that adheres to SCDOT's traffic calming guidelines or the city's traffic calming guidelines. That is a possibility. It could. SCDOT does for now, but there's options that the city's looking at there.
Yeah. So if I can, it's a feeder road. It's not a major artery. I don't think they would really care. If they do, maybe that's something that we could take over from DOT, just because it's right out in front of our office building, and it probably would make sense for us to have more control over it. Right. So again, they always throw things at me when I say stuff like that, but I mean, because again, you all know this, you sound like a broken record up here talking to a lot of people that, the number one complaint I get is traffic, understandably so, right? But it's, we have a louder mouthpiece with DOT than you all do, and it's our job to argue on your behalf, but there are just limits to their funding and where their attention is. And so on something like this, even though we don't have a budget for road maintenance because it's not our responsibility and we don't own the roads, in these scenarios where it makes sense, I think that's logical. If it makes it where we could have speed bumps to enhance this investment. Yes, sir.
So staying on the theme of traffic, I head up human resources for a company, and one of the data points we look at for our employees across the country is their commute time. And I'm curious as to, because for me, the biggest traffic is in the morning when I'm going to work and when I come home in the afternoon. During the day, it's not as bad as the morning and the afternoon. Have they evaluated how many of the current employees who are going to be here or live in West Ashley and have to travel downtown, and this will actually have their commute shorter, so there won't be as much traffic going downtown?
So that is why it's here. We did a pretty deep dive on where our employees are commuting from, and there's a huge swath of the city employees. Let me say, very, very, very few. I would guess maybe 2% of city employees live downtown, right? And so we did an analysis of where people are commuting in from, and this is kind of an opportune location because some people are coming from I-26 to Northbridge, but a lot of people are coming from Bees Ferry, really all over West Ashley. And so this is a great location for them. And our hope, again, just to be very blunt, I mean, we're also trying to take care of our employees. I mean, it is not the highest paying job in the region to work for municipal government. We have a difficult time keeping people because how the lack of affordability and how far people are having to drive to where they can qualify to buy a home. And so this is an exercise to help the city on retention. Keep our employees. So, and this is a big request of theirs to have offices closer to where they live. What else we got? Yes, ma'am. Coming back on round two. I guess I'm opening it up, right?
All right. I'm trying to remember the square footage, 48,000 square feet, I believe was quoted at the first meeting, but it was only going to house 100 employees. How do you justify 3 stories, 48,000 square feet for 100 employees? Have those numbers changed?
What's the total employee count?
Roughly, and it's changing. We've got a high demand, folks want to be over here, and so we're trying to be respectful of that.
Right.
Right now, 120 to 100.
So it might be a little bit higher, 120, let's just say, but we've also got a permit center. We've also got a large meeting room that takes up some of the square footage as well. So what the per person per square foot ratio is, if somebody could do that math really quickly. I can't do it off the top of my head, but it's not exceedingly high or low for a general office use. Who else? Huh? 400 square feet. Again, that's a little bit high. I mean, it can be as low as 250, but given the fact that this is a civic building, has a lot of common area space, big open area that when you walk in, because it's a civic building, we're not trying to eliminate the common areas for profit's sake. We're trying to build a civic building and, again, have community meeting space. All right, who else? Yes, sir.
I noticed that in the mornings and in the evenings, we have a whole lot of traffic. People going to work downtown and out. All your employees are going to be hitting, going to work and coming out at certain times. And I just can't see, but we're going to be landlocked inside trying to get out. It's going to cause a lot more trouble in traffic jam. Would you consider maybe staggering your work hours for your employees so you can break up the amount of traffic that flows into your building?
I think we could look at that. We do some staggering now, depending on what department it is, and where people live. I mean, we try and be as accommodating as possible. I do think, and again, I don't want to speak to the traffic engineering, but I think a lot of these improvements that are being made, obviously not just this building, but what the county and DOT are doing are going to make a pretty significant improvement to what you're seeing right now in addition to this. And so, look, I mean, but I'm one of those people that I hear these complaints, I hear these concerns, right? Like your parking concern, this idea. We want to be good neighbors, right? We want to see how this thing shakes out, and if we need to make operational adjustments because it's a burden on the neighborhood, I suspect you all will be very vocal about that. And I'm saying that in a complimentary way. Look, I mean, we'll listen. I mean, that's why we're here tonight. We're listening. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what the concerns are. We're trying to balance as much of your concerns with the needs of the city writ large, and also provide a significant investment in West Ashley, which I think is long overdue. So again, I think as we go and we see what the traffic commutes are, again, if we're finding our employees can't get out because it's dangerous to those intersections, I mean, we'll be the first ones to be pushing DOT to make adjustments.
I just see a large volume of traffic coming into the neighborhood, and when that comes in, people in the neighborhood, they want to get out. I can see that that's going to be a problem.
Well, again, it may be, and I think that's something that's why these guys are running these models and based on what the current conditions are. But if the models proved to be not accurate, then, like I say, we could make adjustments. Yes, ma'am.
The models that they're running take into consideration the 360 new condominiums coming in across the street.
Apartments. Yeah, it's assuming all of the development that is going on at Ashley Landing. Yes.
Timeline. All of this passes. What's your timeline on starting getting it completed when we can see all this beautiful stuff?
Yeah, we, what's it, July of '28, it'll be done. Yeah, we have to have it done because we have to move out of the office space. So there's some urgency to it. Yes, ma'am?
In regards to the main entrance, in regards to the main entrance of the building that's going to be done first, what's going to happen with the second building when that comes along, and that entrance is now the main entrance, and that's kind of so will the building then be not as important?
The goal here, and the way this has been generally laid out, is to take this building and replicate it right here, and then create a connection between the two. So it's all being designed to be able to do that. And that's some cost savings from the city's standpoint. We only want to design it once. So this will be a prominent entrance, but then this will have a prominent entrance. Think of it like a schoolhouse, with 2 wings, and then having a architectural element in the middle.
But there's not going to be a driven parking?
No, if I'm understanding you correctly. All right, who else? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm 45 minutes late because I drove from Camp Road to my home here. So if y'all have already talked about this, forgive me. But with the increase in all these cars and traffic and people coming and going, has there been thought to address making sure people aren't cutting through our neighborhood to get back and forth? We've got kids on bikes, we've got old people like me walking. I just would hate for our sweet little neighborhood to turn into a racetrack.
No, or a cut through, right? And I think that's always a legitimate concern. I think, and I'll let you speak to this, but I think that the reality of the improvements that are being made on Old Town Road, for the average driver, it would be much easier and more convenient for them to go out at the planned exit and egress points versus to try and go through the neighborhood. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely true there. So as far as anybody who's not working here, I don't really see them using Ingram. So if you live there back in the neighborhood behind it, or you work here, but any other cut through, I don't see that happening through the neighborhood. But that gets back to a question asked over here. We can absolutely look at traffic calming measures, the speed tables or other types of things that if there is a note like, hey, there is cut through, then we could do things to discourage that. And that could.
In all due respect, people are already using some of these roads to cut through.
Okay.
Without the addition of this.
Okay. Well, that's something that can be looked into, absolutely.
And again, that's also in advance before the major improvements are made. So, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm sorry I was a little bit late to the meeting, but I do have a question as to whether we can extend that road that's almost next to where that property is and change where the entrance is for the rest of us. So then this is like our neighborhood, and then that can be your neighborhood. Well, yeah, on Ingram Road, but that cross section, I guess there's a house that's adjacent to the property that you guys are looking at. So 1660, 1662, and whatever that house is on the corner, right? So that house on the corner, extending that street to Old Town Road.
Yeah, we did cover that, but I'm
Okay.
happy to have them address it
Okay.
one more time if
Thanks.
you'd like. The short answer is that was discussed with DOT and they said no. They didn't want to have that connection. They wanted to have a right in, right out at the northernmost access point. Yes.
If they put a light there?
There can't be a light. Well, let me. You want to answer? Well, I'll come back. Yeah, I promise. All right.
So so what's going on with that is the way that the Donahue and Ingram is signalized now, it would not be allowed anymore. It's an older road design, and so DOT wouldn't allow another very close connection to, if you're referencing the entrance into this here, it's just too tight. That's not enough spacing to have a connection into the road, and so they wouldn't allow that as a new point of access.
It stacks up.
It's not necessarily even the stack up, it's just a throat distance issue. They've got manuals now, so that they did not have back then. What's that? I can't hear you.
If we use.
If you use that area for part of what you guys are trying to do and like kind of take over that road, then why can't you have the
Because the intersection is where they wouldn't let us do it.
Yeah.
We can take the road over, but we can't mess with the intersection.
Yeah, the intersection belongs to the state.
And they won't give us that.
Yeah, that like Ingram Road, they'd be glad to, but something like Old Town, they wouldn't hand that over.
Just out of curiosity, if there's 150 people planned to come, what's the purpose of the second building? Is it like part of a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan?
10-year plan.
Okay, so more people might be moving from downtown?
Certain departments could grow. I mean, so what we did a deep dive on our office needs and how the city's growing and trying to project that out because land's not getting cheaper. And when we do use taxpayer dollars, we want to make sure it's a good long-term investment, right? We don't want to build something and outgrow it in 7 years and then we have to go build something else. So we did a pretty deep dive on that. We're also doing that and being much more aggressive about fire stations and police stations because, and that's why, you know, my capital improvements team or capital projects team, they all have gray hair because we are way behind on a lot of that stuff. I mean, that's the reality of it, folks. I mean, we need a lot more fire stations, we need more police stations, and land's not getting cheaper. So we are actively buying land on the Cainhoy Peninsula, for example, on Johns Island, for example. And it's not just police and fire. It's the city office building, it's the fire training facility, it's the city operations building, it's recreational facilities at W.L. Stevens and on Johns Island and ultimately on the Dill Tract. I mean, we need a lot more infrastructure to service our residents. And we need to be pretty aggressive about it because we're way behind. I mean, that's the reality. So again, we're trying to balance what the needs are of the community writ large, balancing it with the very real concerns of the neighborhoods that they will be located in, and you know, trying to address as many issues as we can. But we have to do stuff and get caught up. That's the reality. And we have to do, back to beating a dead horse, we got to do something to help retention with our employees. It is getting more and more difficult to keep people staying with the city just because of how difficult it is just logistically to work there. All right, a few more questions. And I need to, Councilman Tinkler, do you want to say a few words, or I can put you on the spot? You can answer some of these questions if you want. Oh, you did? Okay, sorry, I was late. So there we go. It was a group thing. All right, you've got one more?
It's a detailed question. Okay, great. I'm wondering how much the situation with the requirements for ingress and egress and so forth would be improved by having a curb and a lowered speed limit through this section. Right now, those are big factors within the state's requirements for setbacks and curb cuts and all the rest of it.
But lower the speed limit on Old Town?
Yeah, and some curbs. Right now, there's not many curbs there. That would certainly improve street trees and all the rest of it if we had that.
I would agree. Any thoughts there?
We'll be extending some of that curb and gutter here as well.
So we'll see that on this regional drawing?
Yes, regional drawing, yes. You may make a statement.
No, in the last election for the mayor, a big component was the city didn't do anything in West Ashley. And we see in a very short period some growth. People complain about having to go down to get permits. People complain about not having a city presence in West Ashley. And I know that this is concern about traffic. But that's everywhere. And if you've lived anywhere outside of Charleston, it's an ongoing issue with anybody in the city. So I trust that the city is going to do the right thing for the citizens. I appreciate the fact that we have these listening sessions and we can voice our concerns, but I'm kind of excited about the city having a presence in West Ashley since it's the largest voting block in the city of Charleston. So thank you.
Well, thank you. You want another statement? You can have another statement if you like. No. All right, one more question back here.
Hello, you may have also addressed this as well, but you said you're starting with 100, but then you have a 5-year plan, a 7-year plan. What's the number for 5 and 7?
So generally speaking, this office building will accommodate somewhere between 100 to maybe 140 people. If I'd, that's general head count is what's contemplated here. You know, if we double that, it would be roughly double, it'd be 280 on the upside. And you know, we don't know exactly where those growths are going to occur, whether it's in rec or HR or grants. You know, we just don't know. But we do know we're going to need it pretty confidently. And so we wanted to buy this site. Again, just to give you all full transparency, we were going through this big analysis looking at, again, not just city office space needs, but just facilities. And that was about the time that Ashley Landing was going through its approval process with the TIF agreement and the like. And then this property came on the market. It didn't come on the market. The Catholic Church signaled that they were going to sell it. And I got word of it from a real estate broker who had the buyer for the apartments. Because he was asking if we were going to buy it or not. And I said, when he told me what he was talking about, I was like, yes, we are going to buy it. And so, you know, knowing that we had this need and knowing that we needed to find a suitable location in West Ashley, we looked at Citadel Mall and areas over there. And this was the other location that we were kind of targeting. And so that's how it came to being. And I think it's worked out in a good way, generally speaking. I would totally respect the concerns, the very legitimate concerns and nervousness about the impacts that this will bring to the neighborhoods that surround it. But you have our commitment that we want to be good neighbors. We want to make sure that this is a positive, that this is not a negative. That's the reality. And again, you have our commitment to stay engaged with you all as this process moves forward and people start moving in. And if there are concerns that we can address, and there will be, we're all in. I mean, just tonight, figuring out speed bumps, and that's pretty easy. And probably makes sense for us to just go ahead through the process and take that road over because it gives us a lot more control. So these are the ideas. We appreciate you all providing this feedback and input. We know that we can't address everybody's concerns or dislikes, but there are also easy things to do, like what you're talking about, having a broader map of how this is addressing the larger area. Totally makes sense, so we should have done that. So who else? So what we'll do, we'll make sure that that goes out. We'll package this up. You can send it to all your neighbors, and if there are any other thoughts or ideas, we're open to suggestions. I will say we're on a tight time frame, and we do need to get this thing built. And so, you know, it sounds ridiculous to say that 2 years from now, we need to have this thing up, but that's actually a pretty short period of time to do a project like this. So, but we're not trying to cram it down anyone's throat. We want your engagement. We want your input. If we start getting into the construction drawings and you have concerns about the buffer, we're all ears. Again, we want to be good neighbors. Yes.
With the 240 employees, is that adequate parking?
Yes. yeah, we definitely meet our own parking requirements. Sure, sure. All right, guys, any other questions? Any other questions? Well, listen, I really appreciate you all coming out tonight. Again, we'll package all this up. If you could sign in with your email, we'll make sure you get the package along with the larger map and whatever scale drawings we could do. And look forward to hearing back from you. Sound good? Thank you.